What's going on, everybody? It's Con Connects, and I am so excited to be live again with you guys. Remember, I am doing a 30-day no submitting, no contracts, no proposals month, and I'm still getting paid. So I've been coming on for the past week talking about certain things that I think you guys should know. Hopefully you've been enjoying the content, you've been following, you've been subscribing, you've been liking and commenting. But remember, guys, I am here to answer your questions and answer some of the questions that you guys have sent me. You and students have sent me, to just answer. So today we're going to be talking about 3 misconceptions about getting the quotes. So I know earlier in the week I talked about how to get a quote fast from a subcontractor, and everything in there is absolutely true. But there are some things that you guys tend to believe that are not necessarily true that will also prevent you from getting a quote. And today we are going to break down the three main misconceptions I keep hearing that is preventing you guys from getting a quote. We're going to break those down. We're going to go through them so I can probably cut that misconception in half, or completely disregard the misconception and set you right on the right path. Okay, so before we get started, as always, please comment, subscribe, follow my channel, join my channel, because I will be giving out tons of gems, tons of information about getting started as a federal concierge and the process we go through as well. All right, so with that being said, let's get right into the topic. So one of the biggest things that I always get from students, from different people about government contracting, about getting, preparing your proposal, getting started in a solicitation, is the subcontractors. Now, y'all, I do not know why these people feel like they do not want business. That's one of the things I always hear. They act like they don't want business. I feel like I'm chasing a subcontractor to get them a quote. They're not responding to me. They're not doing this. They're not doing this. And then they come up with all these ideas as to why. Let's talk about some of these ideas and let's break it down as to why your subcontractor is not getting back to you. Some of the misconceptions I want to break down, okay? Misconception number 1, they're just rude. First and foremost, y'all gotta realize these subcontractors, which are businesses, are businesses. They're actual businesses. Live, real businesses. So with that being said, being a business, that means they have clients, they have other people they're taking care of, they have other jobs that they're doing, their office phones are ringing, other people asking for quotes and all of that stuff. You guys got to realize you're not the only person contacting them. And then you need to realize that although you are contacting them, they maybe probably have 10, 15, 27, and that's a real number a subcontractor has given me before. 27 people calling them for the same exact quote. You might think that they kind of get tired of it, right? So when you finally get to them, they seem rude, they seem standoffish, they seem in a rush, they seem like they don't want to get it. They might pop off on you, right? But it's not because they're being rude or they're purposely doing it. And if they're a real professional business, they're not going to pop off. They're just going to say, we've already had this. We already had somebody contact about this quote. We've already sent it out. We're not giving out quotes no more. That's what the professionals would do. But remember, we're dealing with small companies, small businesses, people who own their own business. These are not large companies, right? Small businesses. So with that being said, they may take it a little bit differently, okay? So because they are receiving all of these phone calls, mind you, all of your phone calls about the same solicitation plus the other phone calls that they're getting for their actual business, it gets overwhelming. So they may come off as a little, like I said, standoffish or a little what's the word I want to use? A little aggressive, not aggressive, but rushing through the process or whatever the case may be. But it's not because they don't want your business. They're just really tired of repeating themselves. I mean, think about it. Don't I'm pretty sure most of you guys have had a telemarketer call you, right? They'll call you one day, and then tomorrow they'll call you again, and the next day they'll call you again. And what do? You probably end up going off because you're not a business. You're just a regular person. You're like, stop calling me, right? Well, businesses can't do that. So with the frustration that they may get from receiving the same constant call over and over and over and over again, they may come off as a bit rude, but they're not. In order to combat that, you can do one or two things. One, relate with them, empathize with them, right? Show them empathy. Tell them, look, I understand you may have gotten calls. Here's the deal. Now, this is when I go into why you getting a bunch of calls, right? And then they kind of appreciate or start understanding, oh, that's how it works. Okay, I understand now why everybody keep calling me. And then they'll tell you, well, we're not interested, or okay, we'll give you the quote, give me an email, whatever. But most of the time they know the deal, they know what's going on. So that's one of the things you can do. You can empathize with them, you can let them know what the deal is, why they're receiving all these phone calls, and then also let them know, hey, I understand you've given out this quote again. I'm interested in the quote. If you can send me the quote as well, if they already been giving out the quotes, if you can send me a quote as well, that'll be totally great. If not, I completely understand, that whole little spill or whatever. And then it kind of softens them. Like, okay, well, all right, I'm going to send you the quote. Let me send it to you. Because the more chances they give out the quote, the more chances they have of winning. Although we are definitely pricing our own proposal, but they have more chances of winning. So that might help combat that rudeness, okay? So subcontractors are not rude. Don't be afraid to get on the phone and talk to somebody. Just know going in, oh, they may have talked to 15 people before me already. Let me prepare myself. Let me ground myself. And and make sure that I, get ready for whatever is to come. All right. So that's one of the misconceptions. Number 2 misconception. Hold on, give me a second. 1 second. There you go. The second misconception is they're just not interested in the work. Okay, now, although this misconception sometimes is correct because they just don't want to deal with the government or they don't want to deal with a third party, because most of these people that you're calling, they know how the job works. They know other people call subcontractors to do the work for another company. They know they're dealing with a third party. They know this stuff, okay? Some people don't want to do that, and that's okay. Majority of people don't care. As long as they're getting paid what they're supposed to be getting paid, they don't care whether you're a third party, you're working with somebody. They don't care, okay? So don't automatically assume that they're not going to be interested in giving you a quote, because that's just not true. Let them tell you they're not interested. But the majority of the times, they're interested. Your business, your money coming into their account, your possible other connections that might happen. Make sure you stick with that connection, okay? So you call a subcontractor, give them the information. If you don't sound like you know what you're talking about, they're not going to try to pull it out you. Y'all need to be ready when y'all come in and talking to these subcontractors. Be ready. Know your scope of work. Remember I told you in the last video, you need to actually read your scope of work? Yeah. You need to read it. You need to read it, and you need to know it like the back of your hand. Now, you don't need to know it verbatim, but you need to know exactly what needs to be done, because when they start asking you questions and you doing the beatboxing game, now they really gonna be like, you know what? I just don't have time. Like, I just don't have time for this, right? You don't want that. You want them to be able to like give you a quote right over the phone or immediately after an email. So in order for them to do that and make them interested, you have to sound like you're interested in offering them this job. Meaning, know the scope of work, know the lingo. I do this much research. When I don't know something about a solicitation that I'm working on, I do this much research about it. That way, when I'm talking to a subcontractor, I'm actually knowing what they're talking about. I'm knowing some of the things that they're going to have to do. And because of that, it kind of sparks their interest because they're like, oh my God, I'm on the phone with somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. This is really cool. And it gets their interest going as well. Okay? So don't automatically assume that they're not interested because that's not true. If they're in the business to make money, they're going to be interested. Okay? Believe me. Trust me. I know. Okay? So, third misconception. And this is one of the biggest ones that I think my students run into. Guys, sending the entire scope of work to the subcontractor does not help you get a quote any faster. Now, let me break that down, okay? If it's a product, right? If it's a product and say the scope of work says 12 ironing boards of model 231 red, right? Okay, you can absolutely send that to a subcontractor and be like, this is what I need. That's fine. Products, usually you can send the scope of work right off. You don't have to edit it. But when it comes to services, you guys, y'all know the government gives you information about the job. Y'all know the government sometimes have scopes of work that's 2, 3, 4, 6, 10 pages long. And y'all know already based on my last videos that I've taught you guys that a lot of stuff in the scope of work does not even apply to quoting. Knowing that you need security clearance to get inside a building has nothing to do with the quote. That does not affect the quote. So they don't need to know that, right? But you guys, because you're lazy, some of you, and some of you just don't know any better, but because of that, you guys are sending them the entire scope of work. I had a subcontractor tell me one time, yeah, I like your scope of work better. This not verbatim, but I like your scope of work better because somebody sent me 12 pages. I'm like, oh, they must be brand new. They're being lazy. You don't do that. You have to break it down to a 1-page document, okay? When you do that, it actually helps them get back to you faster. Like my other video said, break the scope of work down into the who, what, when, where, whys of the scope of work and send it to them. It'll help you get the quote much faster. And then it puts ease on them because remember, they are a real business. They are actually dealing with other clients. They are actually answering phone calls from other people asking for quotes. They don't have time to read a 12-page document of a scope of work from some random person that's just called them out the blue asking them for a quote. That's your job. Okay? So you think sending them the entire scope of work is easier? It's not. Now, the only time sending them an entire scope of work is the best bet. One, if they ask you for it. And maybe you might know this person, you might know this business, and you just send it to them because it's technical. I sent an entire scope of work one time because it was about computer stuff. And it was real technical. I didn't know anything about computer stuff, and I couldn't break it down where I might be missing something that could affect pricing. And because I knew the person that I was sending it to, I just told them, hey, I'm going to send you the entire scope of work. Don't get overwhelmed. Just look at what you need to look at. And they were fine with it. They were completely fine with it. So that's really the only time you would do that. But that doesn't happen often, guys. That don't happen often. So what I'm saying is, don't send them the entire scope of work. Okay? You think that is the thing to do? Misconception. Do not do that. Okay? So those are the 3 misconceptions that I've been addressed with, that my students, people who watch me, questions, ask. Subs are not trying to be rude on purpose. They're really not. Do not send them the entire scope of work. That does not help. And then they are interested in the work. You just have to present it in a way that's interesting. You can't be boring presenting a quote. Now you probably like, wait, I thought we just supposed to get a quote, get off the phone. Like, why I gotta be theatrical to get a quote? And you don't. You don't. But remember, they got 15, 16, 20 plus people calling them for the same exact quote. Why should they remember you if you don't stand out? I'm just saying. So don't let those misconceptions stop you from going after that quote. Because remember, once you get that quote, you in there like swimwear. That's it. That's all you need. Once you get that quote, you are good to go to submit. The only thing that's left to do is what you need to do, which is prepare your proposal and do all that other stuff. Which, if you didn't know, I have a video on that. So make sure to go through my list and watch that video on how to prepare a proposal. But that's all you need. Okay? So please don't let those misconceptions stop you from getting the quote, or stop you from calling, or make you fearful of calling a subcontractor, because whether you guys know it or not, you are already doing what you're doing. You're already doing what you're supposed to be doing when it comes to calling. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys out there have called grocery stores, called stores to ask them how much something costs. It's the same exact thing. Do you go in with these misconceptions? No. But when it comes to like governmental work, you guys freeze up. I don't know why. Just pretend like it's you asking for the work, and don't put any preconceived notions on what the subcontractor will say or do. Just go through the process, and whatever happens, happens. Okay? Plain and simple. All right, guys. So that is the 3 misconceptions about getting a quote. I hope that helped you out. If you were doing any of that, please stop. And I hope you understand why it's not that. And if those are the misconceptions that you have formulated in your head, hopefully I've knocked down that and you won't have those anymore. If you have any other misconceptions that you've heard of or you want to discuss, go ahead and comment below. I'm here to answer your questions. I am here to help you get through the process of submitting your first proposal, get through the process of becoming a federal concierge, and get through the process of navigating how to submit federal government contracts, and how to, well, I can't make you win because the government picks. If anybody tells you I can have you win a contract, that's not true, because the government picks contracts. I can help you submit effective proposals. And that's what I'm here to do, okay? If you guys are interested in getting started, you want to book a free call with me, go ahead to the link below. Click on it. Go ahead and book your free call. And I'm here to answer whatever questions you have about getting started, and hopefully present something to you that will help you to get started in submitting federal proposals as a federal concierge. All right, guys. With that being said, that's my time. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, follow my channel, and comment and share this video, because I'm giving out information that I want you guys to have. So I will talk to you guys later. See you tomorrow. If you have any questions, book a call. If you have any other questions about this in particular, go ahead and put a comment below, and I will be on your thread with an answer soon enough. All right, guys. Have a good night. Bye.